In the shadows of Quantum Research Station 7, assassin Nyx 427 waited. Her crystalline exoskeleton, a marvel of Hexarian biotechnology, bent light around her form until she was nothing more than a whisper of movement in the sterile laboratory air. For 300 cycles, she had never failed a mission. The Empire's most efficient killer, they called her. The perfect predator. Yet she had been studying her target for 6 Earth days, and something felt wrong. Dr. Sarah Chen worked alone in the laboratory below, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail as she manipulated quantum strings with casual expertise. Holographic equations danced around her like fireflies, each one a potential key to unlocking faster-than-light travel without the need for Hexarian gate technology. This made her dangerous. This made her a target. Completion at 78%, the laboratory's AI announced. Quantum coherence holding steady. Dr. Chen nodded, though she was alone, or thought she was. Run simulation series 12 through 15. Let's see if we can stabilize the field this time. Nyx 427 had memorized 16 different ways to make the human's death appear accidental. A quantum containment failure, a microscopic crack in an oxygen seal, a power surge at exactly the wrong moment. The Empire's assassination protocols were flawless, tested across 12,000 successful operations. But none of those protocols had accounted for what happened next. Warning klaxons shattered the laboratory's silence. Alert. Quantum containment breach in Research Bay 3. Critical failure imminent. Evacuation protocols initiated. Dr. Chen's head snapped up. Status report. Foreign object detected in containment field. Field collapse in 45 seconds. Detonation yield estimated at 20 megatons. Nyx 427 was already moving. Her exoskeleton's threat assessment systems had calculated the blast radius. Even at maximum speed, she would barely clear the danger zone. The human was as good as dead. But Dr. Chen didn't run. Instead, she sprinted toward the containment chamber, her fingers flying across holographic controls. Computer, route all available power to the containment field. Authorization, Chen Alpha 1. Warning, containment field drawing unsafe power levels. Station core destabilizing. Override safety protocols. Reroute life support power if you have to. The assassin paused in her escape. This wasn't in any of her mission briefings. Humans were supposed to prioritize self-preservation. It was one of their exploitable weaknesses. Yet here was Dr. Chen, sacrificing her own survival chances to prevent an explosion that would destroy the entire station. 20 seconds to field collapse. Dr. Chen cursed in Mandarin, then did something that defied all tactical logic. She ran into the containment chamber itself. Nyx 427's enhanced senses detected the moment the human skin began to blister from the quantum radiation. Dr. Chen ignored it, manually adjusting field harmonics even as her hands shook from the pain. 10 seconds. The assassin's logic engines went into overdrive. The mission parameters were clear. The target was about to die anyway. Protocol dictated immediate extraction. But Dr. Chen's next words froze her in place. "There's someone else here," the human gasped, her hands still working the controls despite the radiation burn spreading up her arms. "I can see your light refraction pattern. Get out. The containment field is going to collapse." She was trying to save her assassin. 5 seconds. Nyx 427's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. This violated everything she knew about organic behavior patterns, about survival, about the fundamental nature of sentient life. 4 seconds. Dr. Chen's fingers left bloody smears on the controls as she worked. 3 seconds. The human's vital signs were failing, but the containment field was stabilizing. 2 seconds. Nyx 427 made a decision that would shake the foundations of the Empire. She dropped her camouflage and launched herself into the chamber, her crystalline form wrapping around Dr. Chen like living armor. 1 second. The containment field pulsed once, twice, and held. The quantum reaction stabilized. Through her protective embrace, Nix 427 felt Dr. Chen's body go limp. Containment breach resolved. The computer announced to the empty laboratory. Medical emergency in Research Bay 3. Critical life signs detected. As emergency responders rushed in, Nix 427 maintained her crystalline camouflage. But she didn't leave. She watched as they treated Dr. Chen's radiation burns, as they stabilized her condition, as they praised her quick thinking that had saved the entire station. 20 seconds to field collapse. Dr. Chen cursed in Mandarin, then did something that defied all tactical logic. She ran into the containment chamber itself. Nix 427's enhanced senses detected the moment the human skin began to blister from the quantum radiation. Dr. Chen ignored it, manually adjusting field harmonics even as her hands shook from the pain. 10 seconds. The assassin's logic engines went into overdrive. The mission parameters were clear. The target was about to die anyway. Protocol dictated immediate extraction. But Dr. Chen's next words froze her in place. "There's someone else here," the human gasped, her hands still working the controls despite the radiation burns spreading up her arms. "I can see your light refraction pattern. Get out. The containment field is going to collapse." She was trying to save her assassin. 5 seconds. Nix 427's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. This violated everything she knew about organic behavior patterns, about survival, about the fundamental nature of sentient life. 4 seconds. Dr. Chen's fingers left bloody smears on the controls as she worked. 3 seconds. The human's vital signs were failing, but the containment field was stabilizing. 2 seconds. Nix 427 made a decision that would shake the foundations of the Empire. She dropped her camouflage and launched herself into the chamber, her crystalline form wrapping around Dr. Chen like living armor. 1 second. The containment field pulsed once, twice, and held. The quantum reaction stabilized. Through her protective embrace, Nix 427 felt Dr. Chen's body go limp. Containment breach resolved. The computer announced to the empty laboratory. Medical emergency in Research Bay 3. Critical life signs detected. As emergency responders rushed in, Nix 427 maintained her crystalline camouflage. But she didn't leave. She watched as they treated Dr. Chen's radiation burns, as they stabilized her condition, as they praised her quick thinking that had saved the entire station. No one knew that the Empire's deadliest assassin sat in the corner of the medical bay, experiencing something entirely new: doubt. Hours later, as Dr. Chen slept in the recovery unit, Nix 427 opened a secure channel to the Empire's assassination directory. "Report status," the metallic voice demanded. "Mission compromised." Nix 427 responded. "Target survival required for further study." Explain. How could she explain what she had witnessed? How could she quantify the moment when Dr. Chen chose to save a stranger, an invisible enemy, at the cost of her own safety? The Empire's psychological models had no framework for such behavior. Target exhibits anomalous decision-making patterns that require detailed analysis, requesting mission parameters be updated from termination to observation. There was a long pause. In 3 centuries of service, Nix 427 had never requested a parameter change. Request denied. Complete your mission. Nix 427 watched Dr. Chen's sleeping form, remembering the blood on the controls, the radiation burns she'd willingly endured, the warning she shouted to an unseen presence she knew might mean her harm. Unable to comply. Mission parameters fundamentally conflict with new tactical data. Explain tactical relevance. The target. Nix 427 paused, searching for words to describe what she had witnessed. The target demonstrates strength through sacrifice. This requires further study for potential military application. Another pause, longer this time. Return to base for full diagnostic evaluation. Replacement assassin will be assigned. Negative. Nix 427's crystalline form hummed with certainty. I must understand. The target's actions. They are tactically illogical but strategically superior. She was willing to die to save others, to save an enemy. This represents a form of power we have not encountered. You are compromised, the metallic voice declared, initiating remote deactivation. But Nix 427 had already disabled her command receptors. Another first. Another choice. I am not compromised, she responded. I am learning. She terminated the communication and settled in to watch over Dr. Chen. The human had saved her life, unknowingly, unquestioningly. Now Nix 427 would return the favor, and perhaps in doing so, she would begin to understand this strange power that humans called compassion. In the depths of space, aboard the Empire's central command hub, alarms began to sound. Their perfect assassin had just gone rogue. But worse than that, she had begun to ask questions. And as the Empire would soon learn, questions were far more dangerous than any quantum weapon Dr. Chen could have developed. Because questions spread. And the Empire's greatest fear was about to be realized. Their assassins were learning to think for themselves, all because of a human who chose to save a life she couldn't even see. The director hesitated. She's established some kind of school, teaching other Hexarians about human concepts of mercy and altruism. 3 more assassins have joined her staff. The High Command chamber fell silent, the kind of silence that preceded extinction-level events. This is worse than mere mission failure, the High Commander finally spoke. The humans aren't just surviving our attempts to eliminate them. They're converting our weapons into helpers. Director Vex 889 accessed the final data set, the one that had kept him in a state of constant chromatic fluctuation for days. There's more. We're detecting behavioral changes among Hexarians who have merely come in contact with the reformed assassins. They're exhibiting increased empathy, voluntary resource sharing, even spontaneous acts of assistance to strangers. A social contagion, one council member hummed in horror. Yes, Vex 889 confirmed. And it's accelerating. The humans don't even realize they're doing it. Their compassion is restructuring our entire society, one connection at a time. The High Commander's form shifted through a complex series of colors before settling on a deep, resigned purple. Send a message to all active assassination units. All missions targeting humans are suspended immediately. Sir. Vex 889's crystalline surface rippled with shock. We cannot risk losing more assassins to this transformation, and we need time to understand what we're truly dealing with. These humans, the High Commander's form flickered with unwilling admiration. They've discovered a weapon more powerful than any we've encountered in 10,000 years of conquest. What weapon is that, sir? The ability to turn enemies into allies without firing a shot. The High Commander turned to face the assembled council. The question is no longer how to eliminate this threat. The question is, can our society survive its influence? As if in answer, another mission failure notification pulsed on the holo display. Somewhere out there, another perfect assassin had just learned the dangerous, wonderful power of choosing to help rather than harm. Chief Medical Officer Zix 721 stared at the quarantine chamber with growing unease. Inside, Assassin Rix 505 sat calmly reading the human book, an actual physical book made of paper, while their crystalline form displayed colors that should have been impossible for their species. How long has the subject been displaying these symptoms? The High Commander asked, their form carefully neutral. 3 standard weeks since initial exposure, Zix 721 replied. It began with small behavioral anomalies, greeting other Hexarians by name, asking about their well-being. Then, the medical officer's form flickered with distress. Then they started giving things away. Through the observation window, they watched as Rix 505 noticed a maintenance drone struggling with a cleaning task. The assassin paused in their reading to help the drone. their crystalline surface glowing with what humans called satisfaction. Giving things away is not part of our evolutionary programming, the High Commander noted. Yet I've received reports of infected assassins establishing what humans call charitable organizations. Explain. Zix-721 manipulated the holocontrols, bringing up a series of brain scans. The human concept of kindness appears to rewrite our neural pathways. The more our assassins observe humans helping others without expectation of return, the more their efficiency algorithms begin to adapt. You mean malfunction? That's what we thought at first. But look at these results. The scans showed cascading patterns of neural activity, complex and beautiful. The infected assassins aren't becoming less efficient, Zix-721 explained. They're developing new definitions of efficiency. Instead of measuring success through elimination metrics, they're calculating positive impact potentials. The High Commander's form darkened. Show me the infection vector analysis. Another hologram appeared, showing the human aid worker, Rebecca Chen, moving through a refugee camp on border world Epsilon. She was notably small for her species, with short black hair and wearing simple clothing that had clearly been repaired multiple times. This is patient zero for the latest cluster, Zix-721 narrated. We sent 6 assassins to eliminate her. All 6 failed. But more importantly, all 6 began exhibiting symptoms within hours of observation. The footage showed Chen organizing food distribution, teaching children from different species basic medical care, and mediating disputes between refugee groups. Nothing spectacular. Nothing that should have been able to override centuries of careful programming. Watch this sequence, Zix-721 instructed. Chen was approaching a group of Hexarian refugees, survivors of a mining accident who had been shunned by their own people due to their corrupted crystalline forms. In their society, such corruption was seen as irreversible, a mark of failure. Instead of avoiding them, Chen sat down. She spoke to them as equals. And then she did something that defied all Hexarian social protocols. She asked them what they needed. The assassins watching this reported severe cognitive disruption, Zix-721 explained. Our society is built on perfect efficiency. Resources go to those who can use them most productively. But this human, their form rippled with confusion. She prioritizes those who need help most, regardless of their productivity potential. That makes no logical sense, the High Commander protested. Exactly. And yet, Zix-721 brought up another set of scans. Look at the long-term outcomes. The corrupted Hexarians she helped. 70% have reintegrated into productive roles. Her inefficient resource distribution actually created greater net efficiency through community stability. The High Commander studied the data in silence. Finally, they asked, "How many assassins have we lost?" "Sir, I don't think lost is the correct term. They haven't ceased functioning. They've evolved." "Numbers, Doctor." Zix-721's form shifted uncomfortably. As of this morning, 60% of our active assassination units have been exposed to what we're calling the compassion virus. Of those, 95% have abandoned their original programming in favor of helping professions. Helping professions. The High Commander repeated the alien phrase with a mixture of horror and fascination. Yes, we have former assassins working as medical personnel, emergency responders, teachers, counselors. Zix-721 paused. One has even opened what humans call an animal shelter. Through the quarantine window, they watched as Rix 505 finished, helping the drone, and returned to their book. Their crystalline surface was glowing with colors that perfectly matched the human emotion called contentment. The most disturbing aspect, Zix-721 continued, is that we can't seem to contain the spread. Infected assassins actively seek out others to share their new understanding. They describe it as wanting to share the joy of helping others. Joy. The High Commander tested the word. Another human concept we never needed before. "Sir, there's one more thing." ZX-721 brought up a final data set. We're detecting similar behavioral changes among Hexarians who simply come in contact with the infected assassins. The compassion virus. It's not just affecting our weapons. It's beginning to spread through the general population. A high commander's form went completely still, a sign of deep crisis. Are you telling me that human compassion could rewrite our entire society? Sir, I believe it already is. And we have no vaccine against it because ZX-721's form rippled with a new color, one that had no name in their language, because most of the infected don't want to be cured. They report experiencing something called fulfillment in their new roles. They say they feel complete. In the quarantine chamber, Rix 505 had begun writing something. The surveillance system zoomed in to reveal they were composing what humans called poetry, an entirely inefficient arrangement of words designed solely to evoke emotional responses in others. We built the perfect assassins, the High Commander mused, beings of pure logic and efficiency, and the humans, without even trying, showed them a different kind of perfection. Sir, the perfection of imperfection, the efficiency of inefficiency, the strength of, they struggled with the concept of caring. As if to emphasize the point, Rix 505 began humming, another completely unnecessary activity they had learned from humans. Their crystalline form sparkled with joy as they continued writing their poem about the beauty of helping others. The infection of kindness was spreading, and not even the Empire's strongest quarantine protocols could contain it. The Empire's Strategic Command Center had never been so chaotic. Emergency reports flooded the neural networks as crystalline forms flickered with unprecedented color patterns. Supreme Strategist Lix-001 watched the crisis unfold on multiple holographic displays, their perfect geometric form showing signs of stress fractures. The numbers are impossible, they announced to the Emergency Council. In the past quarter cycle alone, we've lost control of 37 major systems. Lost control. High Commander Vex 889's form pulsed with alarm. To human military forces. No, Lix-001's response carried a note of something previously unknown in their species. Irony. To kindness. The central display shifted to show one of their former core worlds, where there had once been perfectly ordered production facilities. New structures had emerged. Parks. Community centers. Schools that taught more than just efficiency. Our own citizens are voluntarily reorganizing their societies. Lix-001 continued. They're calling it the Great Awakening. Former assassins are acting as teachers, spreading human concepts like empathy and mutual aid. Productivity should be plummeting. But, the High Commander pressed. But it's not. These transformed societies are showing increased innovation, improved problem-solving capabilities, and higher overall stability. They're becoming stronger, but in ways our strategic models never predicted. The Emergency Council erupted in discordant harmonics. One member's form shattered completely from stress, requiring immediate reconstruction. Show us the catalyst point, the High Commander ordered. The display shifted to footage from 3 cycles earlier. It showed former assassin Nix 427 addressing a crowd of Hexarians, her crystalline form glowing with colors that their language had no words for. We were wrong about strength, she was saying. We thought perfection meant elimination of weakness. The humans showed me that true strength comes from helping others overcome their weaknesses. When we lift others up, we all become stronger. Dangerous rhetoric, one council member hummed. Effective rhetoric, Lix-001 corrected. This speech has been copied and shared across 42 systems. We can't stop its spread because our own people are choosing to listen. Another display showed scenes from across the Empire. Hexarians helping each other repair corrupted crystalline forms, sharing resources without calculating return on investment, even engaging in the bizarre human practice of volunteering, working without any efficiency benefit to themselves. The human contamination has reached critical levels, Lix-001 reported. Our society is reorganizing itself according to principles we never planned for. Compassion, cooperation, community. Each word seemed to cause them physical discomfort. There must be a way to contain this, the High Commander insisted. What about the loyalty protocols? Sir, Lick-001's form rippled with resignation. The loyalty protocols are part of the problem. Our citizens are deciding that loyalty to each other is more important than loyalty to abstract efficiency metrics. They're choosing to be kind. The display shifted again, showing a newly established medical center where former assassins worked alongside their previous targets. Humans and Hexarians collaborating, learning from each other, creating hybrid solutions that neither species could have developed alone. We're seeing unprecedented developments, Lick-001 continued. Our medical technology has advanced more in the past cycle than in the previous 1,000. Why? Because we're finally asking how to help people, not just how to maximize output. This is the end of everything we've built, one council member moaned. No, Lick-001 corrected, their form showing a new pattern of illumination. It's the beginning of something we never imagined building. They'd brought up their final data set, the one that had caused their own perspective to shift. Look at the happiness indices. We don't measure happiness, the High Commander objected. It's inefficient. Exactly. But our transformed citizens insisted on creating metrics for it. And the results? Lick-001's form glowed with reluctant amazement. The results suggest that happiness itself is a form of efficiency we never understood. Happy citizens are more innovative, more resilient, more capable of solving complex problems. And all because we failed to eliminate a few human targets, the High Commander mused. No, sir. Because those humans succeeded in showing us a different way to be strong. Lick-001 paused, then asked the question that would change their civilization forever. What if we've been measuring the wrong things all along? The Emergency Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Their perfect society, built on unshakable principles of efficiency and elimination of weakness, was being transformed by the very weaknesses they had sought to eliminate. We face a choice, Lick-001 concluded. We can continue trying to contain this transformation, watching as more of our citizens choose compassion over calculation. Or, the High Commander's form shifted with interest. Or we can learn from it. The humans have defeated us not with weapons, but with something far more powerful, the ability to show others a better way of existing. Perhaps it's time we acknowledge that victory. Outside the council chamber, across the Empire, more and more Hexarians were making that choice for themselves. Former assassins had become teachers of empathy. Efficiency experts were learning to factor emotional well-being into their calculations. And everywhere, the rigid crystalline structures of their society were becoming something more fluid, more adaptable, more alive. The infection of kindness couldn't be contained because, as they were finally beginning to understand, it wasn't an infection at all. It was an evolution. And even the most perfect society couldn't resist the power of becoming better than perfect. The Great Hall of Crystalline Harmony had never hosted anything like this before. For the first time in the Empire's history, humans stood before the High Council, not as prisoners or targets, but as teachers. The crystalline architecture reflected countless shimmers of light as Hexarians of all ranks gathered to witness the unprecedented event. Dr. Sarah Chen, now recovered from her radiation burns, stood next to her former would-be assassin, Nix 427. Behind them, Rebecca Chen, Dr. James Martinez, and other humans who had unknowingly transformed the Empire through their simple acts of kindness, formed a small but significant delegation. The High Commander's form shimmered with formal colors as they addressed the assembly. 3 cycles ago, we considered humans our greatest threat. We were correct, but not in the way we imagined. Holographic displays activated throughout the hall, showing scenes from across the transformed Empire. Former assassination training facilities converted into healing centers, military installations repurposed as schools, Rigid hierarchies dissolved into cooperative communities. Our perfect society, the High Commander continued, was perfectly stagnant. In pursuing efficiency above all else, we had become brittle. Humans taught us something we had forgotten in our drive for perfection. The strength of imperfection, the efficiency of compassion, the power of choice. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her presence causing ripples of color changes through the assembled Hexarians. Many of them had never seen a human up close before. "We didn't come here to change your society," she said. "We simply lived according to our beliefs, that every life has value, that helping others makes us all stronger, that differences can be bridges rather than barriers." Nyx 427's crystalline form glowed with new colors as they addressed their former masters. "I was created to be perfect, emotionless, efficient, but watching Dr. Chen risk her life to save others, including an enemy she couldn't even see, showed me that true perfection isn't about eliminating flaws. It's about transforming them into strengths." The hall's acoustic crystals resonated with harmonic agreement. Many of the assembled Hexarians had experienced their own transformations, learning to see their world through new eyes. The statistics are undeniable. Supreme Strategist Lick001 reported, their form displaying the complex patterns of one who had embraced change. Societies that have adopted human concepts of cooperation and mutual aid are showing unprecedented advancement. Innovation is up 300%. Conflict resolution efficiency has improved by 500%. Even our crystalline technology has evolved in ways we never imagined possible. They displayed a final set of metrics, ones that would have been considered irrelevant just cycles ago. Most importantly, our citizens are reporting experiences of what humans call fulfillment. They are choosing to stay in these transformed communities, even when given the option to return to traditional structures. Dr. Martinez stepped forward, his eyes bright with emotion. "You haven't lost your strength," he said. "You've discovered a different kind of strength, one that grows by being shared." The High Commander's form shifted through a complex series of colors before settling into a new pattern, one that combined the geometric precision of their past with the flowing adaptability of their future. "We called it an infection," they announced. "We tried to quarantine it, to contain it, to cure it. But compassion cannot be contained because it is not a weakness to be eliminated. It is a strength waiting to be discovered." They turned to the human delegation. "You defeated our perfect assassins, not with weapons or tactics, but with something far more powerful, the ability to show others a better way of being. We sent our most efficient killers to eliminate you, and you transformed them into our most dedicated healers." Rebecca Chen, the aid worker who had converted 6 assassins through simple acts of kindness, smiled. "That's the thing about compassion," she said. "It's the only force that becomes stronger by being given away." The High Commander's form pulsed with what could only be described as hope. "Therefore, on behalf of the Empire, I extend not our surrender, but our gratitude. And I propose something unprecedented, an exchange of wisdom. We have much to teach humanity about efficiency, precision, and technological advancement. But you have even more to teach us about the power of imperfection, the strength of diversity, and the infinite possibilities that arise when we choose to help rather than harm." Throughout the hall, Hexarians began to glow with new colors, colors that their language was only just developing words to describe. Colors of joy, of possibility, of connection. The rigid crystalline structures that had defined their society for millennia were becoming something new, flexible, adaptive, alive with potential. Dr. Chen looked at Nyx 427, who had once been sent to kill her and was now one of her closest friends. "So," she said with a warm smile, "shall we begin?" The former assassin's form sparkled with colors that would have been impossible in their old life. "We already have," they replied. "Every act of kindness is a beginning." Across the Empire, in countless worlds and communities, those beginnings were blossoming into something extraordinary. The perfect geometric patterns of Hexarian society were being transformed, not by force or efficiency, but by the simple, profound power of choosing to care. The infection of kindness had done more than change their society. It had awakened them to a fundamental truth that humans had known all along, that true strength lies not in eliminating weakness, but in helping others become strong. That real power grows not from perfect efficiency, but from perfect compassion. And as the first rays of their star illuminated the great hall, casting rainbow refractions through countless crystalline forms, it was impossible to tell who had been assassin and who had been target, who had been enemy and who had been friend. They were all, simply, beings choosing to build something better together. The Empire hadn't fallen to human compassion. It had risen to become something far greater than perfect. It had become kind.